Hey everybody, let's get started. Olga, are you there?
I'm here, Doctor.
Okay, I'll let you run the meeting. I'm still signing some documents for refinancing. But Mark from ENF for the Muirlands property in La Jolla wanted to go first, so we should let him talk if he's on the line. Mark, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mark, if you want to give us an update on that project, I'll give you the floor, okay?
All right, that sounds good. So last week we had a meeting with the structural engineer, the foundation subcontractor, the framing subcontractor, and the general contractor regarding the structural plans that have been drawn up. We made some value engineering comments that the structural engineer took back with him, and he has completed his portion of the plans. They have been submitted to the architect, and they've told us that they're working on incorporating it to be ready to submit to the city this Friday. They're also incorporating Title 24 and some room finish selections as well. And we're on track to submit Friday morning. We've coordinated with the permit processor to get the plans to the city, and we're ready to go, and we'll be waiting for about 3 to 4 weeks to hear back from the city thereafter. But things are going well. We've got some good value engineering done to save some money on cost, and we'll be doing more of that during the city plan check process. And those are the updates for the past week.
So Mark, how are we in the timeline? Are you on schedule? Are you behind? Are you early? How are we?
I would say that we are a few days behind schedule, maybe 3 to 4 days, but it's not very much. So we had to spend a little bit extra time on the final design because we were having some issues with some of the existing conditions with the unpermitted structure and we want to make sure that we were accurate and we weren't running into problems with excavation of dirt or removal of complicated walls or foundation. And but we feel confident we'll be making up that time since we've tuned in a system for us to get back to each other relatively quickly, and whatever happens in the city is whatever happens in the city, but we're doing good.
Okay,
great.
so
Mark,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is John Hostetler. Mark, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Can you let us know, for those of us who don't know, what Title 24 is?
Yeah, Title 24 is basically the new. How should I word it? It's like in 2013 they passed this energy efficiency legislation for all new construction to have higher ratings of energy efficiency. That goes to windows, HVAC, as well as attic circulation, because believe it or not, a lot of the older homes have horrible attic insulation and HVAC systems, and so the homes get overheated very quickly, and it's just very poor energy efficiency. And these new regulations make sure that all the new homes have, a lot better efficiency with regards to energy.
Okay, great. Does it cover some safety issues also, such as I think there's the new plugs that are required for new construction in terms of the electrical, I don't remember what they're called, but they have like a safety switch in them. Well, is that Title 24 also, or is that a separate?
No, I don't think it'd be part of Title 24. Electrical has its own building code, and that's something that the subcontractor would know, not the Title 24. Title 24 is exclusively for like energy efficiency. So.
Okay, got it. And then how about Muirlands 1? Can you give us a little bit of update on that, since that project is, obviously ahead of Muirlands 2 and serves as a good sort of blueprint for what is going to happen on Muirlands too.
Yeah, it's going well. We are. I haven't been there in the last 2 weeks or so, but my understanding is that the drywall should be just about at least halfway, close to being finished. And so it's what we've noticed and learned is that the finish framing takes a little bit longer than we all think. We thought framing would take about 3 or 4 weeks, when it's more like 5.5 weeks. And so our original contractor, he specializes in new home construction, so framing is a lot quicker in new home construction versus remodeling. And so we started taking that as a case study to make sure that the timeline that our contractor provided us for Muirlands 2 is reasonable, and he has a timeline of about 8 weeks for framing. So we feel really comfortable with some of the lessons learned on that one to bring them over to M2. But I know as well before I left that we were installing the drywall and finishing electrical and plumbing, the last finishing touches, because once drywall's in, it's really all that mechanical, boring, expensive stuff is all taken care of. So it's just focusing on finishing and getting it ready for sale.
Okay. And do you know about when you expect to list that property?
My understanding that we're starting the pre-sale. I'm guessing it's just like whisper marketing among the agents sometime. Sometime. I haven't spoken to the agents, but I think in August we're going to start some of the pre-marketing, and then as the project gets further along, probably bring some buyers through, ones that can stomach some construction. Hopefully, try to get it sold before we finish. And so that's some of the goals that we have.
Okay, great.
So, Mark, what's the next step? Right? Looks like you're trying to basically pull all the permits, and once they're in, you're going to start construction, right?
For M2?
Come again? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, is that for M2, right?
Yes, for Muirlands.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For Muirlands, yeah. The timeline now is we've done all that we could to get into the city as fast as possible. And so we're thinking about 3 to 4 week turnaround from the city, and then a week or two for comments, another 3 to 4 weeks in the city again for the second round of plan checks, and then I think it's 1 to 2 weeks to finish any final comments, address any final comments, and then basically pull the building permit. And we're expecting to start construction sometime in October, early October, and things are looking good.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, thanks, Mark. If you can just make sure to send us pictures, just once a month. We don't need it often, but every starting in October, just to give our investors a pictorial update, that'd be great.
Yeah, it'll definitely be much easier to get it through, since we'll be on site relatively often, and we'll be able to send a lot of good pictures for you guys. Plus, the agents said that it's a really good marketing tool to have the full set of pictures along the way, so that buyers can see the extent of the quality of our construction, and they can see that we really we did a good job, and cut any corners. And it's a good marketing ploy to have pictures, so it'll be a double benefit.
That sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, no problem.
Right. Okay, Olga, you want to keep running with the meeting?
Sorry, I was on mute. Do you want to do your update up to you?
Sure, I could do mine. So I'm trying to share my screen with everyone, or has Olga shared your screen? And do you have the newsletter open?
I am on my phone.
Okay, let me try to share it, but I will talk on doing that. So if anyone has the ability to see the newsletter, or you can see it afterward because I'll have Nadell send it out to our EAC community. But my post is about starting a EAC community fund. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but it's sort of come to a point where the time is right to do it because of the fact that we're really suffering from and frustrated with the way we currently do it, where we are funding projects by raising funds for each individual deal. And it's taking us a lot of work, slowing us down, and we're missing out on some deals. So we're thinking about starting a fund where we'll have a guaranteed floor base return of 9% annualized return for our investors, and then a profit that will be paid out on a quarterly basis, and a profit bonus distribution that we paid out on an annual basis. We do want to offer our investors the ability to redeem their funds at any time of their choosing, as long as you can give us 4 to 8 weeks to cash you out. However, if you do cash out, then we will give you the 9%, but you will lose the bonus profit sharing. And knowing the deals that we've been doing, it appears that we are probably going to be able to give returns somewhere in the ballpark of 12, 15, 18, maybe even as high as 20% annualized return based on the deals that we've been doing and we've been seeing. So we're going to be exploring this. We're developing the idea. We're still debating about all the different terms to the fund, but this should be coming soon. It will mean that the investors that invest in the fund will no longer have the need or the opportunity to choose and pick a deal that they want to invest in. However, if you want to continue to do that, we're not doing away with it. If you're an investor that wants to invest only in that way, we certainly welcome that. The only problem is that you sort of start in line in terms of the deal flow, where you have preferred investors already who are first in line for all the deals, and then the fund will take the deals, and then any deals that are left over will go to the investors that want to do them individually at a time. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and you'll be seeing more of that news in the upcoming future. Does anyone have any questions? You can certainly ask them to me by email later on if you like. Okay, Olga?
Okay. John mentioned that he had to jump off the call. Are you back yet, John? Do you want to? Okay, so I can give a quick update on my part in the meantime. Not a lot of information to share. We're still working hard on implementing the folio. This week is the last week for us to complete everything, so I'm working to iron any issues out, which I'm sure that once we actually go live, we're going to find some more. But we're working with all the property managers on that, and also working on the financial analysis and creating systems for our company. We can move down the line if John is not here yet, and then come back to him later. Bill, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep. So update on San Diego property with RBD Ventures. UPass is still in the same spot. They're still delayed by the city waiting to get permission or getting their permits back. Again, he's hoping to get them this week, but he's got everything lined up to start work as soon as they get the permits. So they are about, I'd say, 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule. And then with St. Louis Market, we're trying to grow that market right now. We're looking at some properties to expand our portfolio, but right now we only have one property that's actually got your use 401k kind of proof of concept. That property, the demo's done, and we're just waiting for framing to catch up, and everything else should be right on target again. And because they plan on being under budget, that property, they're going to reevaluate, possibly putting in a whole system, HVAC, air conditioning system, because I think the initial plan was just to put in a couple window units, but they've got extra funding available due to being under budget. They may come back and reinstall that. So that's all I have for St. Louis.
I have a couple of questions, Bill.
Yeah.
So in the one project we have with RBD Ventures, they had been telling us they're going to essentially refinance us out, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that in October?
Yeah, that would be in October.
Okay. And as
possibly sooner.
Okay. As far as you can tell, despite the fact they're behind on the project, they still want to exercise that?
Yes, we prefer to exercise that option sooner rather than later, just because our cost of money is much cheaper or much more expensive than what he's getting with his other investors. Just because other investors' money was essentially tied up, so he's waiting for that to come full circle and cash us out.
Okay. If I would encourage you, Bill. I know you have your own money tied in that deal, but just for the sake of future business relationship with RBD, which I would like to do, but they seem to have been running into some problems lately. So I think it would behoove us if you constantly ask and keep a tab on how they're doing. We don't want to be obviously invested in a sinking ship, which I'm not saying that they do it. That's what's going on, but we've certainly been worried about some of the development in that company.
Yeah, I agree. And keeping a close eye on the Garrison project as well to make sure that goes as we planned.
That's right. The project we did not fund, you should definitely keep asking Roger about. Yes, I agree.
What did he end up doing? Did he find some other investors for that?
So he funded, he basically stopped the proposal himself, and he's still actively looking for other investors to cover the remaining amount. But he said he was essentially about 3 weeks away from finishing the project and would be able to list the property. So I'm been keeping a close eye to see if the property does get relisted and the price point.
Okay. Okay, I want to make one comment about the St. Louis property. I want to make sure that everyone understands why this property was purchased in my 401k retirement plan. And I know I've mentioned this several times, but this is an experiment for me. I combine this in my retirement plan because I want to turn it around after we have rented and go get non-recourse financing that you can get within your retirement plan and see what kind of returns I will get. I think it'll be very high. I predict this easily high teens, if not into the 20s, and potentially even the 30% return on cash invested through my retirement plan. So once I do it, I want to make sure that this is made available to all the partners in the EAC community, where you can use your retirement funds and buy properties within our community and then get non-recourse financing to obviously help build your retirement portfolio. So that is the reason why it's being bought in my retirement plan, is in case anyone wants to know why that's the case. Okay, Olga.
So, Dr., just to clarify, you're funding the whole purchase and rehab amount from your retirement plan, and then once it's rented, you're going to refinance?
Yes. So once it's rented, okay, I'm going to refinance. Yes, and I'm going to assume that I should. I believe I could get potentially 70%, maybe 75% LTV loan. And I hope that then I will be able to pull most, if not all. I think in this property it'll be most. I think there'll be some cash left in there. And then obviously that would drive up my cash-on-cash return because of the limited cash remaining in the deal.
Okay. So we can go down to Isaac. Are you on the line? He did mention that he would join a bit later, so we could come back to him at the end. Chad, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, before you go to Chad, is Kevin Riso on the line? Okay, because Kevin Riso is the individual that Isaac's been wanting to present, so we can wait for Isaac to join later.
Okay. So Chad, go ahead.
Okay, do you want me to go ahead then?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know anybody could hear me. Okay, so in regards to IIP, investor income properties in Cleveland, out of the 3 properties, 1 has been rented so far to a Section 8 tenant. The inspection was a couple days ago. I haven't heard the results back, but I'm sure it probably went okay since it already went through the city point of sale inspection anyway. It's usually not quite as stringent. And then the other 2 properties, the rehab on the Garfield property should be done this week anytime, and they're already marketing it for rent. And then the 3rd property, Libby, it was subject to point of sale from the city, and the city's come back with a few items that they had to go and get some more bids on. So we've got that now, and just waiting to award it to a contractor. But the work is fairly minor, so it should only be a week or 2 before that's completed. And I think they've got that one marketed for rent as well. Moving on to Nathan Turner in the notes. He identified one. Well, he actually identified 6, and we told him to pick 1 out of the 6. He did a BPO on it, and it came back way lower. I think the sale price, or sorry, the ARV or the as-is price that the seller was indicating was around $30,000. And even looking online, it would appear it was around that mark. But when the BPO came back, it was something like $8,500. So I don't know, either the realtor just picked some really low-end properties to compare it to, or maybe that's a pretty good indication of the neighborhood it was in. So we decided to back off and just carry on and drop that one and go on to the next one. So I think he's got a new list that just came out that he's going to forward some potential deals to us, hopefully in the next few days here. And then carry on to Jacksonville, Florida, Irby Beauvais. I was actually there last week on unrelated business, semi-holiday, I guess, and thought I would do some real estate investigation while I was there. So I met with Irby Beauvais, who's been on our calls before, and he's still pretty keen on doing a deal with us. He didn't fully understand how the model worked, but I think I gave him a better explanation of how it works, and sounds like he's back on board with potentially doing a deal with us on a joint venture. And he sent me to one while I was there. It was a decent property. It's just the asking price was too high. I think the guy's been sitting on it for a while, just waiting for a sucker to come along and pay his price, because it needed fairly extensive rehab. But so I just said, yeah, we'll pass on this one for now, but keep us informed of new deals coming up. And I don't think Frank Belize is on the line, but I'll scroll down under Ground Partners. We just got some pictures from Frank today. The rehab's completed on Avenue L, and he's got the one side rented, which is great because it was literally just finished. And apparently he's got an investor or a buyer lined up already at the price we're looking to sell it for of $85,000. So that's very good news. It's a good indication of how strong that market is in that area, and hopefully we can continue to do some work within there. So
Chad, do you know about the other property? Is it fully rented? The Emma property?
Oh, the Emma? No, not that I'm aware of. I think there's. He was looking into getting the VA people in there. because I know that he did the very first one was a VA, and I think he said there were, or this was a week ago or two more, he said there was a lineup of others waiting to get in to see it, and no, I haven't heard back, but I'll follow up with them to see what the status is on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but, and that's about it for me. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
So Chad, I have some questions.
Yeah.
Let's start with DeVore and IIP. Do you remember if we're on schedule for these rehabs on these 3 properties, or are we behind?
I would say the first one, Ingleside, that one's already rented. That didn't need any rehab whatsoever. It was just more or less the city inspection.
Mm-hmm.
The Garfield one, we anticipated about a month, I think, of rehab on that. So that one is, I think that one's on schedule. However, Libby, that one wasn't supposed to require that much rehab, but I think when the city inspectors came through, they identified a few additional items that were not accounted for originally. So I think that's put it back a few weeks. But they're just minor things. Like, these things are nitpicky. Like, if there's a crack in the driveway, like more than I think it's like a ½ inch difference, they make you redo the whole driveway, or at least shave the driveway down. Just nitpicky stuff like that just adds time to the rehab process. Yeah, so I think the 2 and the 3 are on time. Just Libby's a little further behind than anticipated.
Okay. So just please keep track of this on the actual tab sheet of our original analysis to compare to the pro forma. Do you have any idea if DeVore has managed to find a buyer for any of these properties?
Yeah, the one, the Ingleside, I think it was Ingleside, was sold. I think I may have mentioned this to you already. It was sold, right. And then, what did we ask? We're asking $55,000 for it. The buyer that was looking to buy it was trying to get financing, or he didn't have all the funds needed to pay cash. And then IIP had another property that was in the low 30s that he's able to pay cash for, so he changed his mind and decided to buy that. No, I don't believe any other ones have been sold yet. I don't think he's marketed the other 2 yet, just because they haven't been, the rehab hasn't been finished. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just got an email from him a couple of days ago saying that they sold 30 properties in the last few weeks, like some of the other ones. So things seem to be pretty hot there.
Okay. All right. And then as far as Frank Lease and Orlando, Florida is concerned, when you say Avenue L already has a buyer at $85K, what did we think we could sell it for? Are we in line with the pro forma?
You know, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I think we had it pegged at 80 to 85,000. I think it was 80 we had it pegged at. And if we were going to sell the financing on it, we were going to sell it for 85 or 90. So I don't know if this buyer is looking to do seller financing with us. I'm not sure yet. I just got a text from him about 10 minutes ago, so I'll have to follow up after the call.
Okay. Sounds good. And then, okay, those are all my questions.
I have a question, Chad. On Emma, I don't know if we ever received final pictures on that rehab. Do you know if you have a set of pictures that you received from Frank on that?
Let me have I'm actually in the directory right now. Let me just take a quick peek to see if they're in here.
And it was 85. I just looked at the spreadsheet.
It was 85? Okay. Yeah, I know we asked him several times for the pictures on this, and he kept saying he was going to upload them, and it doesn't appear we have the final pictures. The latest I have are end of June, I think. They're the exterior pics. So
yeah, and that's what I'm seeing as well. So you can nudge him on that. I would appreciate it. We've requested it a couple of times, and
I'll ask him again right now. Yeah. Okay.
And then, as long as Avenue L is finished as well, I mean, obviously we need pictures on that one as well.
Yeah. He says he sent us pictures earlier today, just exterior ones. He's trying to get the interior ones to us too. So.
Okay.
Any other questions for Chad?
So if we sell it for $85K, Chad, what's the return? How are we doing on like the cash on cash return on that property?
If we sell it for $85K?
Correct.
Just give me a second. I can open up the spreadsheet. So we were all in for just over 63.6 on this. And then if we sell it at 85, let me see here. You know what? We never had this one set up as selling it just as a straight flip, so I don't have the exact numbers, but say we take 5,000 off for commission and all that, we'll be left 14,000, 16,000, 15,000 on 64,000, 25% return.
Okay. Sounds good.
3 to 4 months. That's pretty decent.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Let's go on to the next person. Olga.
Okay. Giovanni. Oh wait, no, we were up here with Chad. So, Linda. I don't know if Linda has any updates. I don't know if she has been working on anything.
Linda, I'm going to give you.
Linda?
Yeah. Linda, you haven't got anything to work on for us, I know, but I'm going to give you a project. I know a guy in town. His name is Travis. I forget his last name, but he is a note buyer and seller. I'd like for you to meet him and see what he's got. So I'm going to put you on that project, Linda. Okay, over. You want to go to the next one?
Okay, so for our ground partners, Lou Ellis doesn't have any updates on the internet, but I did speak to him this morning. We were talking about the details of how the rental income is going to flow and how they're going to collect, but he did update me that one of the duplexes, one of the units in there, he's already been able to rent that one out, and then he has another property in the pipeline. I know if John is on the line. I don't know if you have any additional updates from Lou Ellis.
Sure. So the biggest update is the fact that we just purchased a 22-unit project. It's really what it is 11 separate duplexes that are identical to one other duplex that we've had and are actually involved in the D2R refinance. These are purchased. We actually first looked at them almost a year ago from a single seller who was at the time not in too much distress, and was asking too much. And we actually did put it under contract for a little while, but then once we dug in a little bit deeper, realized that we were overpaying. So he contacted me a little while ago, and we renegotiated, and were able to close on these at a price that was very attractive to us. So this now really, in the next few days, two things are going to be happening. Number one, the B2R refinance is finally going to close. I'm sure in Kevin's update, I was off the line talking to B2R, but he probably told everyone that he just signed the closing documents, and I'm going to do so in a half an hour or so. And I'm also coordinating with other people who are signing, like our property managers and stuff. But anyway, that should close almost absolutely this week. So we will have quite a bit of investor money coming back to investors at that point. And since we have already purchased the 22-unit project, we will be putting out a proposal for that one later this week as well. So hopefully, I'm sure that some people will be interested in funding that. So look for more on that. We're very excited, mainly because we feel we get a very good value for it. We're going to be able to take advantage of economies of scales on these because they are essentially identical to what we've already done, so we know exactly what to expect. Lou Ellis has been through these units up and down several times when we were actually under contract before, and then since as well. And we've had contact with all the tenants, and we actually have some cash flow for some of these projects right now. I mean, some of these units right now, about half of them are full. And so we have a schedule that we're putting together to rehab one building at a time. And Lou feels that we can get that done in probably about 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks per building. So we will obviously be doing that for the empty units, as much as possible, and then, potentially either moving some of the current tenants into the newer ones or, giving them notice depending on their lease expiration. So we're very excited about that because he's negotiated very good rates on subcontractors and has procured many different packages through Lowe's for obviously 22 of all of the pieces that we need, the materials that we need. So we feel that this is going to be a very, very good project for us. And it's also going to keep us busy, or Lou busy, for several months without having to really do a lot to continue searching for properties. What we will probably do is try to fit in one flip at a time as we are completing the 22 units. And, Lou can do that because he has his crew, and because we're using subs pretty extensively on the duplexes, we can, then jump his crew on a flip and get those turned around pretty quickly. So that really sets us up for close to a year in terms of what we're going to be doing in Jacksonville, and we feel really excited about that. My other update myself, so that's it from Jacksonville, but I'll just kind of jump to my own. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was that we have the Wisconsin flip that had on the market for several weeks and have had a lot of interest, but I think that we probably started a little bit high. We're a little aggressive on the price, which is fine because we felt that we had a good product and all that. Well, in the last 3 weeks, we've had some issues with the air conditioning and have had to schedule to replace that unit. And so in the St. Louis heat, unfortunately, we had some buckling on a hardwood floor. And so we're also having to have the crew go back in and replace a couple of boards on that. And that'll happen this week as well. We have somebody who's very interested in the property. They are coming in at about 175. They haven't sent an offer in yet. What they're trying to do is qualify for more because I think our Mary Kremenacher, our agent, has indicated to them that we're probably not willing to go that low, even though 175 was our original ARV. So she's trying to encourage them to qualify for a little bit more. So that's promising. Frankly, we will negotiate down. I want to get this that project behind us so we can move on to others and get our investors paid and just move on, and it'll still be a profitable project at 175. So that is really it from me, other than just again closing out the B2R refinance, which will be in the next couple of days.
Okay, John, I have some questions. Number one, can you tell us what the numbers are for the 22 units? What are we buying them for ARV with the rehab and everything included?
Sure. So we're paying $275 total for them, and you know, that's for 11 units or 11 buildings. So that is $12,500 per unit. And we have rehab funds that are committed to about $22,000 to $23,000 per unit overall. Some will need more, some will need less, because they're, you know, obviously not all in the exact same shape. But you know, approximately $45,000 per duplex. And so with that, we will be all in about $70,000. You know, maybe creeping towards $75,000 with some holding costs. And as we have already had an appraisal done on the duplex that is identical to these for our B2R refinance, that appraisal came in at $117,000. So I don't have the spreadsheet open, but that is just a tick under 60% of ARV that we are getting into these properties for. So
it is for that reason this is a good deal. Not only do we buy a lot of them, but it's also because we've done several of these duplexes already, and so we know that the ARV is right on the money for us. This is what we like.
Exactly.
And then, John, as well as Olga, if you guys know, you should tell the community about how well Lou is doing in terms of the rents, because including the duplex he just rented, he's getting rents that are above market rates. So can you give the community an idea of how well he's doing?
Well, again, I don't have that in front of me, but I can tell you that Lou has developed a very good relationship with the HUD office in Jacksonville, and essentially they are contacting him on a weekly basis asking for properties. They have, I think, 7 of our homes are rented to Section 8 in Jacksonville. And so they've been through these, they've inspected these homes, they know them very well, and they love them. They love the work that we're doing. They love that particular area of New River where the majority of our homes are for rentals. And they are continually asking Lou for, you know, do you have a 3-bedroom? Do you have a 4-bedroom? I have, you know, tenants for 2 bedrooms. And it's one of the reasons that we have actually turned one of the flip properties that we were going to do, 110 Cole, into a rental property. And, you know, because they wanted it and they were going to place this tenant at a very good rate. Again, offhand, I don't have that rate, but they're definitely above what this area typically holds for the typical property. But as we are improving this area, and you know, and again, these 22 units go toward that in terms of and I'll say this: the 22 units that we're buying are probably some of the worst properties in terms of the overall deferred maintenance in this whole New River development. And so bringing those up to, you know, fully rehab status is only going to make this entire area more and more attractive, both to Section 8 tenants and to cash paying tenants. So, you know, really Lou's done a phenomenal job in creating a reputation for our company that we do high quality work, and that he, you know, runs a very tight ship in terms of the management of these properties. He really, because they're Section 8 and because you know, if you are not on top of that type of a renter, there can be troubles with, you know, with maintenance and just not taking care of the properties overall. But Lou has written into his lease that he gets to be in there every 60 days, and he goes in there to change the filter on the HVAC, and at the same time he inspects the property and makes sure that they're taking care of it. And they will address any issues that are you know, are a problem or a potential problem in terms of the repairs. So he's just doing a very, very good job, and I think it also speaks to our overall strategy that because Lou is a partner and he has skin in the game, he cares. He cares about this entire process, and he cares about those properties. He wants them to appraise well because he benefits from that. He wants them to rent for high rents because he benefits from that. And ultimately, if we down the road decide to sell them, he wants them to sell for the highest price because he gets a part of that. So it's, I just think it serves as a model for what we're trying to build in several different markets. And, I'm not putting Lou on a pedestal or anything like that. It just happens that particular town has worked very well. There's a constant flow of properties that he's able to look at and acquire. And although there is competition, certainly, I don't think the competition that we've found has been as strong in terms of their experience and their, just level of sophistication in terms of the overall strategy.
So I'm looking at Lou's text to me about the duplex, and he told me he's renting it out for $650 for the one side. He tells me that the market range is about $550, so he's above $100 for the market rent. And he's consisting of $100 to $200 for every property he rents out. So I would like for the rest of the group to hear us, particularly our ground partners who are building our portfolio with us. This is just the way we do business. We will spend the extra money, and we will put out a high-quality product out there, and we'll get the best tenants and the highest market rents. It's just the way we're going to do business. We want you to create a tremendous reputation for yourself in the community, whether it be Section 8 or anyone else, and just deliver a good product and get the best rents. It's just the way we're going to do it. That's the EAC way of doing it. Okay, Olga, next.
I wanted to ask John about the Wisconsin flip. So you said that there was an issue with the flooring because of the heat?
Yes. Well, and moisture. There was moisture in the basement, and because it's still being sorted out. I talked to Ray Lemons yesterday, and he is, sort of taking the blame for it. But I don't think it's necessarily fair for him to do so because, he really isn't, he isn't that involved in that project. It's a flip. It's not it's not a rental, and it's also one that he didn't rehab altogether. What Ray and Sam Lord, their role for us in St. Louis is they typically do the rehabs for our rentals in St. Louis. And at the same time, they contract for cleaning and sort of touch-up and the minor items and the maintenance on flips. So Hector Maldonado did the actual work on this project, but once he is finished with the rehab, he hands it off more or less to Sam Lord and Ray Lemons, and they are going to take care of the property from there until the property sells.
Okay, I was just wondering if it's normal, if it's normal for other properties in that area to experience the same thing under the same weather conditions, or...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a question I asked yesterday of Ray, and I asked him that, although I appreciate him taking the blame for it, I'm not set on finding who to blame necessarily. I mean, we can get to that eventually, but the bigger question is how do we avoid this in the future, and is this something that happens? I have seen it happen on John Skagg's properties. When I was out there in September, he took me through a home that was on the market, and we noticed some buckling of the floor. So I think, it's certainly not completely atypical for projects there, and I think it's very important to understand what it is that causes that, how to avoid it, for the future. So Ray is looking into that, and he's definitely on top of that. Really, it was two things in St. Louis. We had a tremendous amount of rain in the last 2 weeks. I mean, just sort of unprecedented, similar to what we've had in San Diego. but by far more. And so that has caused a lot of moisture in basements. Well, the basement in Wisconsin had quite a bit of moisture in there, and because the AC wasn't circulating, perhaps that seeped up into the floor on that first floor. The other possibility that we're looking into is that, maybe there wasn't an adequate moisture barrier under the floor. They won't know that until, of course, they pull it up. And I don't think that'll be the case because of, the reputation that Hector and Aztec, who did the rehab, have. I mean, they do quality work, so I don't think that's the case. But, again, it's something that we'll sort out once they actually tear up those couple of boards that need replacing.
So, John, this is not the property that John Skaggs started and we took over, that Sam Lord and Ryan took over?
Well, this is the property that we never started with John. We purchased it with John. This is the short sale. We purchased it through John, and he was planning to do the rehab on it, but then the other property, Nebraska, went awry with him, and we, eventually got that all fixed and sold it. But this Wisconsin, from the beginning, was Aztec, which is Hector Maldonado. That being said, because early in the process I didn't know Hector and I did know John, John still did oversee much of this project. He essentially served the role as project manager, and then Hector did the work. So there were some issues along the way there, just with coordination between John and Hector, and so to be fair to Hector, I think that he feels that the next project he does will go all that much more smoothly because he won't have this sort of intermediary of John Skaggs taking care of that. So so it's mostly Hector, but John Skaggs was involved.
Okay, now what do we do with this kind of project, John, if we sell this property to an end buyer and we have this problem?
Well, there's a home warranty for one. So we always provide a home warranty. That's something that Mary puts into all of her projects. And in fact, we had on that Nebraska project, we had an HVAC issue that came up after the sale. So the buyer actually contacted me, and I referred them to Mary, and then Mary had them go through the home warranty program, and it took care of it. So that's what we do.
Okay. Again, I emphasize that we produce quality product in this. You just need to strive for that.
Hey, Kevin, can I?
If somebody's talking around you, could you please mute, because there's a lot of background noise. Go ahead. Was it Anthony?
Yeah, this is Anthony. I wanted to jump in on, I got a little bit of the end piece on some kind of moisture problem on a wooden floor, hardwood floor. And was that in Missouri?
Yes. St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana is not that far away, and we kind of have the same kind of weather. And we had almost the same kind of experience in Byron. Now, ours was a little extreme because there was a water main that was actually letting water seep into the foundation. It was a slab foundation, and we took care of that. But what I've noticed on some of these slab properties that we work on, if there's a lot of moisture and we either don't have a dehumidifier going in the room or don't have heat or don't have AC going, the moisture actually comes up to the floor. And soaks up whatever material you have on the floor itself. Now, we were lucky because we had vinyl, we had luxury vinyl plank, so we didn't have any issues with buckling, but I can bet you if we had hardwood, we would be having exactly the same problem that they had in Missouri. So what we've learned, at least Mike and I, is to keep the temperature controlled. As far as humidity, we are now running dehumidifiers when we get to the point in a rehab where we have things that would be damaged or either have the AC running or heat running, depending on what the weather is outside. So I just wanted to throw that out.
So I'm wondering from the end buyer perspective, if I'm gone for a month in the summer and I just want to turn everything off and go, if what you're saying is true, then I'll come back to a damaged floor. It sounds like maybe this type of flooring is not the right type of flooring for the climate.
That could be too. That could be as well. And like I said, on this particular one, it was directly on a slab. We usually don't have hardwood directly on a cement slab. But if it was a little different situation, maybe a basement where you have some space, some airflow, or a crawl space where there's cross ventilation, then it's different. So there are a lot of different factors that go into it, and it would be on a case-by-case basis. But just like with REOs, if you go into most REOs, at the very minimum, at least in this area, they usually have the electric on and a dehumidifier running 24/7, just to keep the moisture level within the houses at an acceptable level.
That's interesting. Okay, should we move on to your update, Anthony?
Yeah, might as well. Let me see. Byram. If we start with Byram, we are still showing that we've had a couple tenants fall through, but we actually have 2 tenants, and I had shot this out in an email a couple weeks back. I know we backed away from doing land contracts or owner financing, but we do have 2 people that are interested in buying it on land contract, and we do have a couple showings scheduled this week. I don't know exactly when. It's either tomorrow or the next day, but that's where the status is on Byron. And if we want to continue the discussion on whether to pursue owner financing or not, we can do that offline. Dennis is going to be wrapped up here within the next week or 2. Right now, today, they were wrapping the windows. All the windows are in except one, and we're getting ready to put the floor coverings on. That one already has a tenant, and like I said, that one should be wrapped up in about a week or 2. The duplex, same thing. By the end of, in 2 or 3 weeks, we should be done with the duplex as well. We are right now in the painting phase, actually finishing up drywall and then painting, and that one should be wrapped up in about 2 to 3 weeks. Fourplex is on schedule to be completed by the end of next month. And actually today we just poured concrete on the outside patios, on the front and on both sides. We have the mechanicals going in, at least a furnace and AC as well this week. I actually have Mike with me. I'm in my car right now, so if anyone has questions for Mike, feel free to chime in. But we have the mechanicals going in this week. We're cleaning up the basement and painting the floor, patching whatever needs to be done. And next week, if not this week, we'll be working on the upper level and framing that and putting the windows in. That's this week? Okay, so that's this week. And we we're going back and forth deciding whether we want to change up the outside a little bit, because we were going with a cement fiber siding on 100% of the building, but we'll be putting stone work. We just got an okay from Kevin to go ahead and do that today. So the stone mason should be, you already called him? Okay, all right. But we are set to start on the siding, at least on the stone on the bottom. So as soon as we can get the stone mason, that should be coming up this week. But anyway, in 4 weeks, God willing, everything going okay, that should be wrapped up as well. And I think that's it for my updates, unless anyone has any questions for me or Mike.
Just to say, Anthony, I need your help in getting Dennis and the additional amount of funds needed for the fullplex funded. So let me work on that with you in the next couple of days, okay?
All right, fair enough.
Okay, Olga, let's move on.
Okay, next on the line, Giovanni. Is Giovanni here?
I am here. Sorry, it was mute. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. So my project's 4748 College Avenue. That project's moving pretty quickly. We are entering week 4 of the project. I just uploaded the most recent pictures on our Dropbox folder. We're definitely moving according to the timeline and scope of work. We've framed all the brand new addition, added all the rough plumbing, electrical. It's partially drywalled right now. We're waiting for the city inspector to come by tomorrow. Once he passes us, we'll move on to finishing all the drywall, start the paint process, and move on to the next phase, which would include putting in all the kitchen cabinets, which are being refinished, granite install appliances, and then moving on to the next milestones, which is going to be finishing out all the exterior paint, relocation of the water heater, foundation, final checkup, and then inspection as well, as far as, and then finishing out all the electrical and plumbing. So we're definitely on schedule on that one, actually probably a little bit further along than we anticipated. I should be getting a full brand new update on Friday and knows exactly what date we're going to be out there. This is a new contractor I started working with. This is our first project. So really satisfied with the amount of work and how quickly he's able to deliver on everything he promised. So far so good. Next project up is Scala Circle, which is an easy cosmetic fixer that we purchased on July 6th is when we closed on it. This project does have a 90-day resale restriction. It was an FHA short sale, so we cannot sell this property until after the 90 days is over, which is September 7th. However, we can market the property. So our goal is to have this one on the market the week of the 17th. We did start the first phase of the project, which is very simple, patching up all the drywall or some holes in the walls. We're refinishing the cabinets, refinishing the flooring, updating the bathroom with fixtures and so forth. So this one will move pretty quickly as well. I do have Alex, the contractor on College Avenue, will be taking over this one as well. Moving on to the other project, and here's where I actually just had a snag in the project. I was working with a different contractor. At this point, we're 80% completed. However, last week I dropped in unexpectedly to check on work, and there was no one there. No work had been done for the previous 3 days. At this point, we're supposed to have all my cabinets installed, all the tiles supposed to be completed, and nothing had been done. So finally just decided that it was in my best interest to just let go of this contractor and move on. And this is another project that Alex will also be completing for me, meeting out there this afternoon to just go over what's left to do, which isn't much. So I'm hoping we can get this one wrapped up hopefully by next week. At this point, we're about 2 weeks behind schedule when we're supposed to be on the market. So definitely a bump in the road, but have a solution, and I'm pretty confident that Alex, my new contractor, can take care of it and deliver and get this one on the market. Any questions?
Okay. Yeah, Jed, I have some questions.
Yes.
So we've known each other for now a couple of years maybe. And when I first met you, you had a really good contractor So these guys, I know it's hard to find a good contractor. Is this our third contractor that you're going through?
This is Alex with this new Alex. My first contractor was also Alex. Alex got a little too big for me to to work with. He ended up landing a bunch of new construction spec home projects in Temecula, Carlsbad. So he really can't commit to any projects. So that's why I moved on to a new contractor. The new guy, the guy I just let go, he actually started out pretty good. The problem with him is he's very limited with the amount of personnel he has on board. I know he's let go of a couple guys himself, but I think he's taking on more than he can chew. Good guy, he's got good referrals. He's actually on a couple job boards, and he has really good ratings. So I'm sure he's getting a lot of business. It's just, you know, he's just spreading himself too thin. So nothing negative against the guy. Quality of work's been good. It's just I just can't wait for him to just have one guy there, no guy show up. I just had to pull the trigger and move on.
Yes, I understand.
Yep.
So tell me, how are you handling it? I know you're 2 weeks behind schedule, but is this going to cost you more, or how are you handling the finances regarding the firing?
When I did the hard money loan on this one, I did have a 6-month reserve that's already accounted for. So I'm, you know, obviously eating up against that. So we're nearing the 4th month mark on this one. So definitely critical that we get this one on the market and sold before that 6-month reserve expires. And if that does happen, then I would have to, you know, come up with interest payments, which I don't want to do. The only good thing that's going for us with the delay is that, you know, there are more comps that have closed recently, so it's definitely solidifying my exit price, which makes me feel better that we'll get that number. So that's the only positive I can see out of this one. But you know, we're pushing forward and hopefully get it completed in the next week and a half or so.
Well, having a good contractor on your team is definitely one of the most challenging things to being a good rehabber. So
it is, and I think more than anything, I think you can't be afraid to pull the trigger and move on. I think a lot of people get dragged on with the same guy. You know, they're so close to finishing that they just decide to just push through, and it just doesn't work out. You know, so I have to move on.
Understood, Giovanni. We'll keep at it.
Will do.
All right. Any other questions for Giovanni? Oh, good. You want to go to the last person, right?
Giovanni, I was wondering about, so when you fire a contractor, can they file a mechanics lien?
No, I still owe him final payments for the work that he did complete. So before I give him the check, I am having him sign a lien waiver. Otherwise, he doesn't get paid.
Okay, so, I'm wondering how you're going to make sure that, you know, you have the money also for the new contractor.
I do. So with this contractor, luckily I wasn't paying him out in large chunks. I was kind of monitoring the work he was doing. So I do owe him for the last finished painting and install of the flooring, which is only $750 for that work. So that's what's on the hook, and I have an itemized statement that I will be giving him, and you know he won't get that payment until he signs the lien waiver. Just clearing us from any future liens or anything. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so George Flynn, we heard from Mark earlier, and then John Allen is the next person on the line.
Yes.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, well, as you all know, we closed escrow last week on the property on 53rd Street, and we're moving ahead with the construction drawings for submittal to the city for the 18-unit project. Basically, as a little update, we've put together a lot of the RFP, the request for proposals for the rest of the work that we need done. Submitted one to SDG&E for the engineering to go underground. Submitted an RFP to a highly referred landscape architect that we intend on using, and some civils for stormwater management. And I've also consulted with another civil engineer that I've been working with on a few other projects that is going to work with us to do the stamping of the drawings and the little things that need to be done in order to get this project submitted. So we're making good headway. It's only been about a week since since we closed, so we're still waiting back on waiting to hear back from these different trades on their bids. But as soon as we do, we'll be moving forward with them. In the meantime, I have my architect and engineer working on construction drawings, and those shouldn't take longer than a couple weeks to 2.5, maybe 3 weeks to get those completed. And then we'll just be waiting on the hired hands, civil engineer, stormwater, landscape, and SDG&E to finish what they do. In the meantime, I've also been working on a marketing package. I know we were discussing when we would be going listing to MLS. My ultimate goal would be to find a buyer before listing on MLS and saving ourselves 3% commission on the sale. Obviously, the buy-side commission would still be in effect because anybody who's going to come on board will probably have a buyer or have an agent putting them in touch with us. But if we can save ourselves the 3% buy-side commission, that would be nice. So I have been intending on circulating a marketing package as soon as it's finished to any potential buyers. My thoughts were also to circulate it to the EAC community. I understand that there are plenty of people out there that may have interested parties in purchasing an 18-unit development project to go out and build out, and so I figured I would share that marketing package with everybody in case they know somebody and they can circulate it around. That would be great. And so I'm just waiting on the rendering. I also hired out an architectural rendering to be done, and it's very close. I've seen the progress that the guys made. He sent me the viewpoints that we approved, and then he has been working on the details, basically working on a pergola and the outside fencing, and he'll be complete with the rendering. Once I input the rendering into the marketing package, I'll be able to begin circulating that with the idea of finding a buyer before we decide to enter it into the MLS. So that's basically where we're at. I had a couple thoughts. One thing that happened just recently, I had actually been looking around for other projects, potential projects, while we were in sort of a downtime there. And I found a property right around the corner from this 53rd Street property on 54th Place and Orange Avenue that it came up for sale a few months ago, but I was too busy to even really look at it. And so I checked it out just the other day, and it had already been entered into an escrow agreement with somebody. It's for $450,000, and it's about the same size as our property, and it can only sustain 10 units. 7 units base with a density bonus, it can sustain 10 units. So I looked at it two ways. One way is that, hey, maybe it might fall out of escrow, and maybe I'll have a chance at picking this one up as well. And if not, then we have a sensational comp for our property, because if somebody's paying $450,000 for potentially 10 units with no approved project on it, just land, we should be looking very good at selling an approved project for double the units for $950. So that's one good thing that I saw recently. Just kind of food for thought. Just wanted to throw that out there for everybody. The other thing that I wanted to bring up that I was hoping I could get some input on is, I believe that when I pitched this project to EAC community, there was a structural engineer that came on the phone and asked a few questions. I have a couple structural engineers that I have been in touch with, but I would like to get in contact with the gentleman who I spoke with on the phone, if he may be interested in providing some input on this project. I know he's part of the EAC community. I don't know if he's on this call, but
I think it was Chad.
It may have been Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would love to put him in touch with my architect and design staff. We may have a few questions, and we may like to work with him over somebody that's involved in the EAC community, to do the structural calculations and calculate the loads for the project when we need to. When we're finishing up with the construction drawings, that'll be one of the things that we need to get done. So that's the only thing that we have not sent out bids for. And so that's something that I would like to have my architect discuss with Chad, if at all possible. So if I could get his contact information at some point, maybe afterwards if someone wanted to email to me, or if you could just provide it to me here, that would be great.
Hey John, it's Chad here.
Chad, how you doing?
Good. I'm not licensed to practice in the state of California, so I wouldn't be able to. No. I'm actually not even licensed anymore. I still pay my dues, and I have my stamp. I'm just not allowed to use it. So sorry, I can't help you in that regard. But I'd be happy to look over anything that you need me to, just from a second opinion, if you want. Okay. Do that. Yeah, just feel free to reach out.
That would still be helpful, I'm sure. What's your email address?
It's CURB.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'll send it to you after the. It's kind of hard, so hard to do over this. I'll forward it to you afterwards.
Okay, sounds good.
So I should be part of the distribution list, so you can see me on there.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, no problem.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, John.
Sure.
So at what point do you have to go to the city and get the actual approval?
So once we complete the construction drawings, we will go to the city and submit for the approval. So within the next 30 to 45 days, we should have our completed construction drawings set, ready to submit. And at that point, we'll go to the city and submit.
And how long should that take?
That should take, well, it takes 21 days for they're under a timeline. They have to get back to you within a certain amount of time. So the first submittal, they have to get back to you within 21 days. Typically, there will be some minor corrections, some changes that need to be done, and then they send it back to us to those changes. As long as we complete all the changes in that first submittal, we resubmit, as soon as we can finish those up. And then they have to get back to us within the next 14 days after that to either give us more changes or to approve it, which typically doesn't take longer. As long as the project developer is doing his job correctly, then there shouldn't be more than two submittals. So we don't. Some architects will submit 4 or 5 or 6 times to pump up the price because they're working for a developer that they want to just suck as much money out of the project as they can. But obviously, this isn't the case. So we would do everything that's required in the first submittal with the first kickback and submit everything in that second submittal, and then we'll be good to go. So within 35 days, we should have approvals from the time that we submit.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then, John, you should be able to market the property within the next couple of weeks, you think?
Yeah, I can. I should be able to market the property within the next couple of weeks. I can probably get, as soon as I get that rendering done, I can actually get somebody to market it. Now, I have had multiple, I've been in contact with a lot of brokers and a lot of potential buyers. I've had multiple offers from brokers who think this project is highly saleable, and they want to take the listing. The reason I have not done that yet or haven't committed to that yet is because of that 3% commission that I'm trying to save. I believe that I will be able to bring somebody on board. I have a couple other parties that are interested still that intend on submitting an offer. But if that doesn't happen within the next couple of weeks, then I would go ahead and list it with a broker. Really the question is, how long do you guys feel comfortable waiting to list it? Would you rather list it as soon as possible, or do you want me to try and find a buyer personally and try to save us that commission?
John, you should make an honest attempt to try to find a buyer. Always saving the commission is a good practice, but at a point when you realize we should move to a listing agent, you should do that. So we trust that you're going to give it an honest effort, and you should do it and see if you can find a buyer.
Yeah, so that was my intention. Is I wouldn't be taking the commission. I would just be finding a buyer to facilitate the project and save save the project that commission. But in the near future, if there isn't enough interest, I'll be sure to gauge that and make the call to go ahead and list it because I already have somebody on board to do so. And the marketing materials are pretty much done. It would just be him listing it to the MLS. So I could have that done in short order when we decide to do that. So I would probably give myself another week or two to give everybody enough time to say, hey, look, we're going to list it in the next couple weeks. Get your offers in and get your people who are interested to send offers, or else we're going to start listing. So that was going to be my plan of action regarding listing it.
That sounds good. Let's do it.
Cool. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Anybody left?
No, I think we're done with the list at least. Unless there's anybody else that wants to ask any questions or mention anything else.
Doesn't sound like it. That sounds like a time to end the meeting. Everyone, thank you for joining us, and we'll meet again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Okay.